mine's going to change a lot this summer. I think some of you know, but if you don't know, I'm moving to July. Or I'm
Yes, you are.
I'm so tired of showing my house.
Hey there, hi there, ho there, and welcome to a brand new episode of Better Merch, Better Marketing. I am one of your hosts, Kirby Hasseman. Joining me, as she always does, she's the branding bestie, Jade Kreider. How are you today?
I'm good. It's been a busy weekend, so I'm good. We have a showing this afternoon, so I've been cleaning all day, but it's all good.
It's always telling when I ask anybody how they're doing, and the first thing they do is let out a big breath, right? They either take in a breath or they let out a breath, and then they're like, I'm great, like trying to reset a little bit. But yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, and we're looking, as you know, your mother and I are looking to just check out for just a couple days, and so we're recording this just a little bit early. And so I'm excited, but you know how that goes. If you've ever taken any time out of the office, that last day or so is a little hectic. So it's good, and I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, a little crazy. Hey, if you're new around here, thanks. First, thanks so much for listening. Really appreciate it. But this is the Better Merch, Better Marketing podcast. It's brought to you by Hasseman Marketing. We try to help you elevate your merch and your marketing. You can learn more about us at hassemanmarketing.com. We've got tools if you are a marketer or an entrepreneur trying to grow your business. We've also got tools if you're in the HR space and you want to better recognize your team or keep them, which is always really nice. So just check us out online. All right. Jade, as you do, you've come up with topics today. Why don't you lead the way?
Of course. I kind of started off, we've talked about this before, but I think it does shift for most people. I don't know that it actually does for us, but we're creatures of habit, but we're going to do it anyways. So kind of our morning routines and how we'll adjust them for summer to make them kind of work. Because I do know one shift at least that you'll make for summer. So I just thought we could kind of talk about our morning routines and how that will change in the summertime.
Okay, so you know that I have one shift, huh?
Yeah, because you'll stop running on the treadmill and you'll start running outside.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a great point. Yeah, yeah, I made that shift probably about 2 months ago.
Yeah, forever ago.
Yeah, but it is kind of interesting because we've talked about this, and I guess this is a good time as any to mention it too, is we do this every week, but in July, we are going to take July off. We're doing this around the idea that I'm going to try and take an extended period of time away from the office. This concept comes from the book Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz, where sometimes he says that you need a break, but your business needs a break from you. And the concept is that you try to take a time away because then your business has to do all the things, whether you're there or not. And so that's part of my process in answering this, if this makes sense. So
yeah,
what's been great about this is it forces you to document things, right? That you either just keep in your brain, and that's what a lot of people do. But it's also, I've been delegating, right? Defer and delegate a little bit. And so whether it's to you, Jade, or to Dustin, or to Mac's really taken the brunt of it. But the other piece that's hard is I'm not doing things that I always do. And for any, like, I know you would struggle with that, Jade. But once I'm starting to let go of the email newsletter or posting certain things, it's been kind of freeing. But now it's like, okay, the big shift in this, I'm making a long answer here, but is what am I doing with it? Right? What am I doing with that time? So I'm an early riser. I get up at 5 or 5:30. And so what am I doing with that time that isn't just busy work?
You spend all your morning.
Right? So I'll continue to exercise. That's a piece of my morning routine. I'll try and do the same breakfast every day. But I think that the two that I have that I want to fill in that time is I want to read more. I want to be intentional about reading specific, whether that's scripture, whether that's personal development. And then the big one is thinking time. So I use thinking time while I'm on my run. but that's one of the things I want to start inserting into my morning routine. So sorry about the long-winded answer, but because it's changing, I'm actually trying to think of it right now as what do I do with my time, if I'm being honest, because I don't want to do what most people do. And most people just, the whole world just comes at them and they're reactionary. And I don't want to do that. I've worked really hard to get proactive about this. So how about you?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Don't apologize. I'm kind of enjoying listening to it. Mine's going to change a lot this summer. I think some of you know, but if you don't know, I'm moving to July.
Yes, you are.
I'm so tired of showing my house. I'm moving and I'm selling and I'm buying and I'm owning and I'm tired. I'm moving to Georgia in July, which means that I'm in Colorado now, so I will be moving to East Coast. And I'm fairly excited for that, for the main purpose of that I will be on the Eastern time zone, which is what our office runs on. Currently, my morning routine essentially consists of getting up and checking my email. That's pretty much all I do. I do pee in there. Get up, pee, check my email. I don't even get dressed some days before I start checking my email. So my morning routine is clearly really good. But I'm hopeful that once we get to Georgia and things like that, I can really start to have a routine. A lot of times I literally will check my email, get a couple things done, and then I go make us breakfast. I don't even make coffee a lot of times before I start checking my email because if I'm running late. But if I'm starting at 6:30 in the morning, and I wake up at 6:15, sometimes you get me fresh out of bed. That's just what happens. So I'm excited to be able to get up at 6:30 and then have an hour and a half before I have to start my day. That's so crazy that's how much time I will get back out of my routine. So I'm excited to see what the new morning routine is. I don't know that I obviously have that down pat yet, but having some time to go out, feed Portia, my tortoise, enjoy the weather for a little bit, let Mav run around and drink some coffee before I have to start answering phone calls and emails. I'm actually fairly excited about that. So
yeah, I brag about you on that because again, so I'm a morning person. That's not for everybody. And
it's not for me.
Yeah. But again, you are doing it. But the difference is, and this is what I was saying, is like, this was your idea, right? Like you were like, I'll just work a lot of time and that's great. But I'm a morning person, but I think people think I'm a morning person because I get up early and go with me on this. But I usually have 3 or more hours before I have to people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so I get to the office at 8:30, having been up 3 to 3.5 hours, sometimes, longer than that. And that once I get to the office, man, I've had coffee, I've worked out, so when I have to get up and then people right away, people don't think I'm as much of a morning person. Maverick agrees 100%, right? Like he's like, I've seen you, Kirby, in the morning before all the other people see you.
He does like to wake up
kind
with
of
you.
an asshole, right? So yeah. I feel it. And so you jumping on and dealing with that is good. So I'm excited for you to do that. Now, do you think you'll work out in the morning or it's like, no, I'm just going to use this time to wake up? What do you think?
I think I'll just use the time to wake up. I like to get up and make breakfast for both John and I. I like to take my time and drink my coffee. And so currently I just do that during working hours, which really isn't great. It depends on the day. But so having a couple minutes where I know that I can wake, and frankly, I might wake up at 7:30 and start working at 8. I work from home. I can do that. But I have a feeling I probably won't do that as much because then John and I will be on the same schedule. Whereas right now I get up before John. So then even me making breakfast before work doesn't make sense right now because then it's going to be cold by the time John gets up. So it'll just be I think it'll be time for me to just wake up. And I'm kind of excited. Now, the perk of right now is that at 2:30, I'm done. Yeah. I've got 2 more hours of work today and I'm done for the day. That is definitely the perk. But, Maverick feels very strongly today. But so it just depends on, what the routine is we get down and how I can figure out to get my dog to stop barking in the middle of the day. And because he does do that at 8:30 in the morning, in case you're wondering, if I wake up before him and John do, and then he wakes my husband up. So anyways, I'm just excited to find the new morning routine, the new normal.
Yeah, I think if you're listening to this and you have a hard and fast, I mean, I am a person who has a very strict morning routine. It's why I'm kind of in flux about it for the next little bit. if you are one of those people who says, okay, you have to read something, or, like 75 hard, you work out twice per day, you do all those things, you have to do a cold plunge. You have to like, what are your, like, what are they non-negotiables for your morning
Yeah,
routine?
the
I
non-negotiables.
actually love to hear that. Yeah. So
Yeah,
cool.
75 hard is one that John and I have talked about doing once we get down there, because the thing that has held us up so many different times is the 2 workouts. That's not always easy in Colorado.
Yeah. And one of them has to be outside.
One of them has to be outside. So we've talked about doing it once we get to Georgia, because the environment will be a little bit, we could do it in the middle of winter time and we could still do it very easily. So
right.
We'll see. I don't know. I might do 13 days hard and then go, you know what? This is lame.
Yeah. A lot of people have not given up all of that. So yeah, it's very impressive.
Anyways.
All right, cool. What's next?
Next, we're going to kind of talk about digital marketing and kind of what your website says about you. This started on my brain partially because we had a staff meeting the other day, and Dustin, who does a lot of our digital marketing stuff in our office, he explained it in a way that really clicked in my brain, first of all. And also then I got on a website like 2 days later that sucked. Sucked so massively out loud that I literally stopped and was like, screw it, I don't need it that bad. And I literally I didn't order it. I was going to order something for our house and I was like, screw this, I'm not doing this. And so I thought it would be a fun topic of how much your website can literally impact your business, because it stopped me from buying the cute dog leash that I wanted. So
yeah, I mean, I think what's interesting is I think that the conversation around it is that with social media, there's a percentage of people who feel like that you don't need a website, and I disagree. I think that the website can be the most important piece of real estate you have, done right. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be expensive. It doesn't have to be elaborate, but I do think it does have to be functional, and that means different things for different people. So if you are an e-commerce platform, well, that's more of a thing than if you have more of what we used to call a brochure site, right? You can still tell your story, but people don't have to order off of there or whatever.
Yeah.
So what are some things that you think they need to be functional?
Oh man, I didn't come with like a list. Goodness. Okay.
Oh, you want me to go?
Yeah, you go first, and then it'll spark my thoughts. How about that?
Yeah, no. Here are my thoughts, and because I made some notes. Number one, I would say most people, they create a website and then they never look at it again for years. I shouldn't say most, many, right? They do it. Okay, I've checked that box. I've got a website. It's done. When was the last time you audited it? Right? When was the last time you looked at it? Point. And so the funny thing is I will turn the mirror on me. We had a whole conversation about digital marketing and how we're doing Facebook ads and Google ads and doing the whole platform for people. And I went and looked at our website the next morning and realized that was not on our website. So mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the biggest jerk of them all? That'd be me.
Do as I say, not as I do, kind of thing.
Well, but again, it's like, okay, just audit what you're doing as your business evolves, right, as your look evolves, as your purpose evolves, whatever that is, consider that. The other thing I think we do pretty well and constantly looking to evolve is, what tools do you have that would provide value to your customers on there? So we talk about this. If you're in HR, we've got some tools for you, some value for you. If you're in marketing, you can go get the target marketing playbook, stuff like that. So, so that's, kind of this is all strictly around the website kind of thing. And then I'm also a big proponent of content. So give people a reason to come to your website on a regular basis. If you go to ours, hassemanmarketing.com, and go to the blog page, there's videos on there, there's podcasts on there, there's blog posts on there, any and all of those things that give hopefully value, sometimes fun if it's Thirsty Thursday, right? There's no value to that. It's just fun, right? But there's reasons to come. And then that also reminds people, hey, there are also tools here. There are all things. So I've got some other things, but those are kind of my first things. It's like, make sure it obviously tells your who, what, when, where, why, tells your story, your purpose, all that stuff. Audit it on a regular basis. That's something most I find don't do. Yeah. Have some tools and have content on there that actually provides value. So those are a couple things.
Those are good ones. And also, obviously, you're looking at this kind of from the internal perspective because you do a lot of the you're more internal with some of that stuff. I'm very much external, I feel like, with a lot of that. I don't know as much about our digital marketing, especially that we offer. Again, Dustin gave a very overview of it, and I was just like mind blown. And how much goes into all those. And so I want to say this, but from the outside perspective of like, for example, even just as silly as, okay, I'm looking for new clients. Whose website, like, where can I go? What should I look for? The amount of people that don't simply have, in like layman's terms, what you do.
Yeah.
Like, it should be very obvious what you do. If you are Hasseman Marketing, we do marketing.
Yeah.
And brand, like, we do brand, like, it should be fairly obvious. If I look at your website for more than 3 minutes and can't find it on the main page, the about page, the frequently asked questions page,
shouldn't take
there
3
were a
minutes.
Couple, right? There were a couple that I went to that I couldn't, like, I went digging and couldn't figure out what they did to save my life, and I was like, okay, feels like we're missing the point here. So that was kind of a big thing that, like, I kind of noticed. That's a really good. Obviously, functionality is kind of an obvious one. But just, again, if your website is crashing every time I go to click the About page, and it was from a TikTok thing, and so, like, they were like, just buy it from the TikTok shop, and I was like, well, I'd rather go to their page and support them, like, because, again, I was a smaller business, and so I was trying to, like, don't let TikTok take the proceeds, I'll go straight to their page and send that money directly to them, and I couldn't figure it out, and I decided, you know what, screw that, I don't even want to get on TikTok now, so I kept scrolling, but it's just the point of, like, it's got to be user-friendly, like, especially if you are on the back end, if you're doing some of that, if you're working a lot with the person that's doing that for you, take a minute and look at it from the outside perspective. Yeah. Because as the person that looks at it from the outside perspective, you're overthinking it. I guarantee it. Like, sometimes dumb it down.
Yeah. So Donald Miller talks about this in Building Your Story Brand, which is a great book about marketing and doing it in a story. But he said he's got a couple of things where he talks about this, but he's like, it's the caveman test. Like, the first thing you see should be a headline that explains what you do. So easy a caveman can get it. Right. And it's something, honestly, I mean, again, we continue to play with this, right? Continue to work with this to see what resonates. So for a while there where we are said, we help you market you, right? So, okay, kind of like that's cute. And then recently, you know, when we launched this podcast, so our current one is better branded merch, better marketing. It's like, okay, I think that passes the test.
I think we can figure it out.
But it is something. It
should be so obvious.
So obvious, but it also can be, it can evolve, right? It can get better.
Yes.
You don't just post it and then forget about it forever. In my opinion, that's just me.
Well, and also utilize, not only should your website make sense, your social media should also have that on there. Like, we were talking about it with a different thing that's in our industry of, I literally joined a program in our industry and didn't fully know what I joined.
Right. Yeah.
It's time to respread that message. I'm sure you've done it before. Yeah. Do it again, because you have new people following and new people are always seeing our stuff. So make a post and explain again what you are. So I think it's just worth considering.
Yeah. So this is a little bit outside, but I think I'll bring it back. So Peg Fitzpatrick wrote a book with Guy Kawasaki. I think it's called The Art of Social Media. And one of the things, and this was years ago, this was probably 5 or 10 years ago, but I remember reading it. And one of the things they said was, make sure that your profile picture is the same across platforms, and make sure it's you. It's not your dog. It's not, and they went so far as to say it shouldn't be even you and your wife or you and your boyfriend or whatever. It should just be you if you're using social media for business. I thought that was interesting, and I hadn't, so I'm not suggesting they're right or not, but having uniformity across platforms, interesting, because it affected how I did. I was like, ooh, yeah, because you want to make sure that if they go on LinkedIn, they're like, oh no, that's the same guy. Right.
Right. When TikTok was getting ready to go down, everybody was finding people on Instagram. Make sure it's the same person because it's got the same profile picture. That's a great point. I actually didn't even think about that. That's a good one. And
it's simple, but then that translates to your site and your social media, right?
Yeah, the site
if your website doesn't match social media, that's a problem. So
that's super good. I like
Okay.
that one. Okay, cool.
Okay.
So the next one that's on my list is kind of just why welcome kits work.
Mm-hmm.
I actually saw 3 TikToks in the last week about welcome kits that people received. And
Okay.
so I was kind of just, it was at the top of my mind. And I thought we could kind of just chat about this one. I don't know that I have like bullet points to talk about with
Yeah.
this one again, but go ahead.
Yeah, me neither, for what it's worth. So,
Cool.
but I do. This is one of those that I do talk about where there's an analogy I draw. So, what we're talking about is if you're listening to this and you have new employees starting, whether you're in
Mm-hmm.
the HR space, the leadership space, whatever. Um, Many organizations do nothing at all. They
Mm-hmm.
just, hey, here's your seat. Here's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Here's whatever. And obviously, the more you indoctrinate somebody to training and all,
Mm-hmm.
like we're not experts in that.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, when you invite somebody into your workplace and like they're the new kid at school, that's
Mm-hmm.
always the sort of analogy I draw. And
Mm-hmm.
so you forget, if you've been working there for some time, what it feels like to be the new kid at school and how everybody has their own language. Everybody has cliques. They have places that they sit at the lunchroom. They know where all the bathrooms are. They know all the acronyms. And by giving people just something where they are like, oh, cool, I have a coffee cup and a t-shirt and something that says I work at XYZ Corporation, it breaks down the walls just a little bit more. And so I do, and even if I see where the like people, and man, I've been guilty of this, by the way, where you're just like, okay, grab a bag and put a bunch of shit in there that we have in our closet.
Mm-hmm.
It's better than nothing, right? Like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
now I still think it's better to curate something and really be intentional about how the work
Mm-hmm.
they do and how it would be functional
Right.
there. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I believe it's such a big first step in welcoming people to the team.
Mm-hmm. Well, and one of the things, and ironically, I don't even know that you did it. You guys, when I started with Hasseman Marketing, sent me a box, and in that box there was a binder
Mm-hmm.
that was our logo, and it had all of our information. So for us, it was our login information, it was our supplier reps, it was it was some of that information of like all
Mm-hmm.
the essentials that you will need to
Yeah.
survive in this job. And I think number one, still have it. I actually can tell you exactly where it's at. It hasn't even been packed yet. Now, I've updated a lot of that information. I know a lot of it has been packed. I've updated a lot of that information, obviously, since 3 years ago. But even I was talking with one of my friends about it. When she first got to where she worked, she got a folder. And she said people would recognize that, like, that blue folder meant that she was new. And so then they came and talked to her about it. And so it was another way to initiate conversation. Now she, of course, got a fun sweatshirt. She actually hated the sweatshirt, but that's not the point. But so she got a sweatshirt and all the other stuff too. But having something that like makes people feel like they are a part of something, I think is really important. And I actually liked the idea that all the new people got that yellow folder or whatever it was with kind of the information that they need. Obviously there's probably tax information, stuff like that they have to have anyways. And so now you have a way that people can be kind of easily identified to be invited into one of the cliques. Cliques sounds aggressive, but one of the groups and things like that.
Yeah, I really like that. But part of that then is the training of the team to go, hey, if you see
The yellow folder,
a blue hat or a this,
Mm-hmm.
like that's, yeah, no, I like that a lot. And it really does, it just makes people feel a little bit more welcome during a time where they're going to feel you're insecure. Yeah. And it's funny, like I was talking to Joey Coleman, who's an author, and he's like, often if you really want to get this right, it starts before they start. Mm-hmm. So he talks about the idea that when you buy something online, the time between when you buy it to when you get it, you have buyer's remorse. And he's like, that happens with hiring too, right? They've just accepted a job and then you're like, oh God, should I have taken that job? Should I have negotiated harder? Should I have done this? Should I have done, oh my God, is this going to suck? And if you immediately communicate with them, telling them how excited you are, like before they get there, and then, communicate, here's what you're going to do. And look, be on the lookout for your swag. Like you can actually communicate that stuff's coming.
That's a good one.
And so, and gets rid of some of the buyer's remorse from those people. And so those are little things. And P.S. that costs nothing. That costs nothing, Yeah. So those are little things that you can do to help indoctrinate workers.
Yeah. Also, like, consider, we talked about it, but consider certain items that people will genuinely use in their everyday work.
Yeah.
If somebody is working in a factory, maybe don't buy them a desk mat.
Yeah, right.
But buy them a fan or a black tumbler that's not going to get dirty out in the field. But if you buy me a fan, I'm going to be like, I sit at a desk, Kirby.
Yeah,
I would have liked that monitor light. Like that.
Yeah.
Consider what position they're starting for, and there are options with a one-piece minimum, so you could do them kind of one-offs and things like that if needed. But be considerate about it. I think that's kind of obvious, but in the same token, I don't want gear. I want a new mouse. Like that's a very bad example, but like now
you want
you
want a clicky keyboard. Yeah.
I would like my clickety clackety keyboard. I'm done. Good night. Anyways.
Yeah, no, that's good. I like that being intentional about what kind of work they're going to fill, and something that would be, again, that's sort of gift giving 101, right? Like that.
Yeah.
Give them something that they would actually like. So I like that. Okay. So that's a transition, right? If you are watching this, if you're listening to this, maybe there'd be no change. But if you're watching this, you'll notice that I'm sitting in a different location, because right as we started to go to the next section, Riverside just went away.
It left.
And and at first I thought it was my Wi-Fi. Jade thought it was her Wi-Fi. Turns out Riverside was having some issues. They seem to have had it fixed. But at this point, it's 2.5 hours later. So we're going to record the last 5 minutes right here. So product of the week.
The product of the week this week, we actually talked about last week. If you missed that episode, make sure you go back and watch it. But this week, it's going to be the Year at a Glance calendar. There's a specific one that we will put in the link and everything like that. But these ones in particular are really nice. They have a UV coating that allows for it to be a dry erase board, which I think is just a really nice touch that adds to these so that they can be on the wall. You can kind of dry erase. But again, year-round advertising, these just make sense. Like there's just, and I think sometimes people just forget about them. So I think it'll be a good thing to kind of show.
Yeah, I'm such a fan of this. I think calendars are foundational. I say that all the time. I think that this is one of the things that you build the rest of your merch campaigns around, because it's just there all the time. And as a person who gets a lot of merch, one of the ones, a large Year at a Glance calendar that I can see and plan out, it is so functional. And the dry erase component is really cool, because you think manufacturing sites, think about planning out people's vacations, all those sort of things. I am a huge fan. And I talked a little bit about this in the podcast. Yeah, we got to do this for you in your new office. Yeah, we can make that happen.
Yeah, I've got a husband whose career changes all the time, so I need to be able to dry erase it. It works out. That's what I need. Yeah, we need some branding bestie ones.
Yeah, there we go. We talked about this last week after the podcast. We're like, we need to get these for us. And so be on the lookout.
We'll be doing on it.
Yeah, we're a fan. Okay.
Anyways.
And so now let's jump into our shout out. Each week we do a shout out of a person, an organization, a business that are doing good things in the region. Man, we've had some good ones. And one of the things that I would say to you as you're listening to this or you're watching this, if you have somebody that you'd like to see us shout out, please let us know. We're constantly looking to push some good into the world. And so this week, we want to shout out the Downtown Ice Cream Parlor, which is just opened up in Newark. Our good friend, Doug Marmee. Doug Marmee is a State Farm agent. He's a longtime friend. Some of you know that we celebrated our 20-year anniversary this past November. Doug celebrated his 20th year last year as well. So he's been a staple of our community. And now he and his family are opening the Downtown Ice Cream Parlor in Newark, and it's located in the Newark Arcade, which is a really cool development in downtown Newark that is totally worth checking out as well. So that's a big shout out, because we've talked about the collaborative and all these other things where people are investing and taking risks to better the community, but also to scratch their entrepreneurial itch. This is certainly that. So, and Doug is such a good guy. Yeah,
I want to see it next time I'm in town, so it's on my list.
Yeah, for sure. So if you are in that area, please go check out the Downtown Ice Cream Parlor. I think you'll be really excited that you did.
For sure.
So that was exciting. It took a little longer to record this one.
This might be our longest episode to date.
But we got her done. And so we appreciate, Jade, thank you for sort of, let's see, you recorded it. We tried to figure it out. You showed your house. You came back. I changed locations completely. So
it was an exciting episode.
Yeah, technology is great when it works.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't be able to do it without that technology, where you're in
Yeah.
Colorado and I'm here in Ohio. So,
Pros
and
and
if
cons.
you have listened to this madness, thank you. I appreciate you. This is about 22 episodes in, and we've been doing this each and every week, and we appreciate it to you. It's the Better Merch, Better Marketing podcast, brought to you by Hasseman Marketing. If you want to learn more about us, please head to hassemanmarketing.com. So, let's take a
Love
break.
you, bye.
Okay,
That's what I gotta say. Love you, bye.
Yeah.